This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. When you visit the doctor, you probably hand over your insurance, your ID, and contact details. It's just one of the many places that has your personal info. And if any of them accidentally expose it, you could be at risk for identity theft. LifeLock monitors millions of data points a second. If you become a victim, they'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year at lifelock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
Wie wäre es, weniger Zeit mit dem Einkauf zu verbringen und dafür mehr Zeit für deine Lieblingspodcasts zu haben? Mit dem Rewe Abholservice geht das. Bestell deinen Einkauf einfach online und hol ihn bequem und fertig gepackt im Markt ab. Natürlich ohne Mindestbestellwert. So bleibt dir mehr Zeit für die nächste Podcast-Folge oder deine Lieblingstracks. Jetzt ausprobieren auf rewe.de/shop oder in der Rewe-App. Dein Rewe Abholservice. Online bestellen, im Markt abholen.
Hey, what is going on, everybody? Ryan Leary, William Tincup here with Miss Maggie Smith of Traliant. Correct? I got it?
Correct.
All right, I've got it. Sorry, I've been mispronouncing the company name.
Three takes.
One take. It was one take, not that bad. Anyhow, welcome. You are listening and watching the Practitioner's Corner. Maggie, welcome into the show. Today is all about you. Does that make you nervous?
No.
Nah, thanks for having me. It's fun to be here.
Oh, it's wonderful to have you. Why don't we start off, introduce yourself properly to the audience so that they know who you are, and then we'll get this thing rolling.
All right, sounds good to me. So I am Maggie, coming to you today from Richmond, Virginia. Lived in Richmond past 3 years, and prior to that was in the Boston area. So big reload a few years ago. And that's when I came to Traliant, was when I came here kind of a weird way, wound up in Central Virginia for 15 months. It was too quiet for me. Do not recommend. It was beautiful, but I couldn't hack it out there.
Too many trees.
Yeah.
Cows.
So I could only hang 15 months, and then I had to move to Richmond, Virginia. So.
Well, you made a weather change right there. You got out of the Boston winters.
Yes. I left my snowblower behind and never looked back.
Yeah.
That would be
you
amazing.
occasionally have to worry about a hurricane, but you know what? What's the chances of that happening?
Yeah, but that's like occasional. You're not pushing a snowblower for 4 months.
Winter happens every year in Boston. And the Boston, so probably like a lot of the Northeast, when the first snow is so gorgeous, and it's like you look at it and it's just like everyone's on a high. It's beautiful. And then you get into like March and the snow's still there. And people are just angry about the snow.
This is how we know that William is from Texas.
100%.
Because the
100%.
first snow is not beautiful. It's like beautiful for a day while it's white and fluffy, and then it gets dirty and mushy and tired.
That's our snow.
Yeah.
That's our winter. That's literally, it's all in a week. We get it every year. We get a week. There's some ice. Everyone goes to the grocery store. Then there's some snow. Kids go out and play. And then it's gone. That's it.
Yeah.
Kills the mosquitoes.
No.
We're good. Well, Maggie, let's do a little bit. What's your current position? What's the breadth and breadth of what you do at Traliant? Ryan.
So I joined Traliant a little over 3 years ago.
Is it a COVID move?
Yeah, I broke out of healthcare during COVID. I'll admit, I couldn't hack that either.
Fair.
She's like, I can't deal with the winter. I can't deal with the trees. I can't deal with healthcare.
Yeah.
We're good.
Yeah, fair enough.
Seemed good. Jumped over to Traliant after toughing it out for a period of time, working in the senior living industry during COVID. And then joined Traliant as the first human resources practitioner that they had hired, and really got to set about kind of dismantling things that had been put into place by non-HR people.
That was my next question. Is how much did you have to undo in the first 3 years? Was it like a year of your life was just undoing?
18 months of my life. Yeah.
Well, the people, they have the best intentions, right? So before they have HR, it's usually an office manager, an executive assistant, or maybe someone from operations. Maybe they've taken some classes. Sometimes they have a PEO. And so there's some structure-ish, but most of the HR pros that I know, when they come in that situation, it's doing simultaneously putting in new practices while dismantling everything that was broken from before, whatever
Yeah.
that is.
I think this is how great companies are built, right? I mean, a lot of these tech
Yeah.
companies, especially in our space, they've never had a lick of experience
Oh, yeah.
in recruiting, in TA, HR, anything. They just had a bad experience,
Well, they should.
and they
You
built
should
upon that.
start. My bit with entrepreneurs is start a company with HR. Have somebody in HR, and then you don't have to go through that undoing phase really at all.
Hmm.
You start
Yeah.
somebody there that understands talent. So it could be recruiting, it could be HR, it could be a blend, but it should start with somebody. If you're starting with a salesperson or product person, you should start with somebody that knows talent.
Solid
So
advice. Absolutely.
usually not taken, unfortunately, but yes.
Yeah.
What is rhymes with compliant, Traliant? What would you say? What do you do? What's the mix of services and products, etc.?
So we actually sell training compliance for other companies. So typically human resources is our customer.
Right.
So we're selling training on preventing discrimination and harassment, in specific training geared towards different industries. So maybe the restaurant industry,
Oh, very
we're
cool.
selling code of conduct training, things of that nature, and just also training that's great for managers to have, how to hire, training about being aware of our biases that we all bring to the table, whether we want to admit it or not, and how to overcome those and be aware of those. And so our team, we're about 150 employees altogether, and we have departments, sales departments, product, of course, our client services teams, and marketing, and all that good stuff. And then a small but mighty HR team.
Well, you're on the team, so it is mighty. That
It's
is.
our team.
All right, so I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to assume what's keeping you up at night is something inside of compliance, diversity, bias, something in that area. I could be very wrong, but what is it? What is Maggie thinking about right now that keeps you up at night?
Work
All right,
related.
Work related. Yes, that's
Okay.
good.
All
Good.
right.
Good line to put in the sand right there. Work
All right.
related, because this was about to go very dark.
Yeah, 100%.
Sorry, Maggie. Go
In
ahead.
this
No.
Dateline episode,
Coming from a compliance company, I'm not all that worried about compliance because we have a great product that our
right.
Employees participate in and
Right.
complete the training assignments. So really what I've been thinking a lot about lately is really kind of.
Have you ever been to a webinar where the topic was great, but there wasn't enough time to ask questions or have a dialogue to learn more? Well, welcome to HR and Payroll 2.0, the podcast where those post-webinar questions become episodes. We feature HR practitioners, leaders, and founders of HR, payroll, and workplace innovation and transformation, sharing their insights and lessons learned from the trenches. We dig in to share the knowledge and tips that can help modern HR and payroll leaders navigate the challenges and opportunities ahead. So join us.
The re-examination of our culture. And the reason I've been thinking about that is that we have had 2 acquisitions in the past year. So we've really gone ahead and brought together, we had Traliant, and then we completed 1 acquisition and added about 20 employees to the mix. And then we had another acquisition at the beginning of this year and added another 40 employees to the mix.
Good time to reset.
Yeah, so you really are bringing together completely different cultures, people who, were maybe used to operating in a much smaller organization, and, really trying to take a step back and understand what's important to all these people that are now together, and, what keeps them up at night, most importantly, and how can we fix that? So to really get to the bottom of that, now that we're about almost 6 months in with the last acquisition. We just rolled out a employee engagement survey, and the results are pouring in. We're doing a great job. We're closing it out on Friday, and we have a 91% participation rate so far.
That's fantastic.
Oh, nice.
Yes, I'm excited about that.
I always
And-
avoided
that's
those
huge.
surveys when I worked.
Oh, Ryan,
No, but-
no, boo.
Yeah. But
You
it's
never
really
took
important.
them either. Stop it.
No, of course. But the thing is it's syncing up the culture and also syncing up the business strategy and the goals and the vision and all that
Absolutely.
stuff.
Very
So
important.
It's not done in a vacuum, but getting everyone's interest. So to give us some context, Maggie, are we a return to office? Are we hybrid? Are we remote? Fully remote? Like where are we on the spectrum?
Traliant's fully remote, and the companies that we acquired are also fully remote, which can
Good.
add to the challenge
100%.
in bringing those three cultures together,
Right.
building the psychological safety, getting people to work together. It can be a little more complex, but certainly doable in a fully remote environment.
Oh yeah. You just it's a different method than we
Yes.
used to. We would walk around and talk to people. Okay, that was a
Yes.
method, but now you can't walk around and talk to people, but by getting the survey results back and finding out, okay, people really care about whatever it is. It
Right.
doesn't matter. Then you can actually start to figure out, okay, strategically, how do we tackle that? How do I communicate that to the other leaders and make sure that everyone sees the same thing? And again, it's syncing. I think once you have some data, it's syncing that up with business strategy.
Absolutely. Yes. And making sure that everybody's clear on what the business strategy is. Because even if
Right.
you think you've communicated it consistently, there are still people out there, I could guarantee, who aren't sure what the
100%.
strategy is.
100%.
Right.
I always
Right.
do that, Bill, when I would do the business strategy. I'd say the goals. Here are the 3 goals, and then I would literally go person by person and go, "What'd you hear?"
Are you tired of talent and HR podcasts that sound like corporate training videos? Same. Talentless is the no-fluff show about hiring, leadership, culture, and what's actually going on in the world of work. Talentless is a podcast for recruiters by recruiters. Hosted by Desiree Goldie and Ashley King, they're smart, occasionally salty, and never afraid to say what everyone else is thinking. Listen wherever you get your podcasts and subscribe at talentlesspodcast.com.
Like when I got at them individually, I'd do this bit where I'm like, "What'd you hear?" And then they tell me, and almost to a T, no one got the 3 goals. Like they got my 2, but they never got all 3. And it's like, oh, that's a wonderful way of going, okay, good. So here's 1, here's 2, here's 3. On 3, you're a little sideways, not a problem. Here's why 3 is important. And again, it's hard for leaders because they think they're great communicators and I think they can just communicate once and like it's done. Employees need to me at least, they need a constant drumbeat of what it is, why they're doing it, why does it matter, so that they can feel like they're a part of something.
Absolutely.
Maggie, what's the big challenge right now that you're facing with integrating these 3? And I asked that question for obvious reasons, but the audience that listens to this show follows Journeys of Practitioners, and I'm going to assume people that are going to click here are going to be in this situation. So what are those challenges that you're facing? And let's maybe dig into that.
It's so interesting that the 3 cultures that we brought together are so very different. So the last culture that kind of joined us, they were, a really intimate group that knew each other really well. And we've dropped them into the sea of 150 people when they were, together with 40 and really knew everyone. And not only that, we changed the technology on them and we're like, oh, no, we don't use Slack, we use Teams, and so it's just a really different culture. And the pace at Traliant, we're a growing organization, and it's a much swifter pace than some of these people have been used to, and that's hard for people. Change is hard. No one ever is like, oh, I hope we get acquired. I've never. There's every now and then you stumble across a few
founders hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not
The founders.
not the
Yeah.
everyday employees.
Right,
That's not
right,
the,
right.
Exactly. So it's just, definitely what William said. I think it's really that game of telephone too with employees when, the first, 4 to 6 weeks, they're drinking from a fire hose, trying to understand what are the policies here? What are the benefits that are available to me? When's the
Right.
deadline that I have to enroll in these
Right.
benefits? And
because
then,
everything's different.
yeah, and then the dust sort of begins to settle a bit, and then they're like, wait, did we ever know this? Did you tell us this? And it's just, that ongoing messaging. So you're, trying to get them to learn, hey, here's how we do things. Here's our culture. And, really, I think a good lesson for HR practitioners listening is, what are some things in their culture that, you could introduce into your culture?
100%.
You're not the expert opinion on all things. And, there are probably some easy things that you can implement to help people feel more at home and more connected to one another.
I think that traverses technology and process as well.
Yes.
Being open. So it takes both sides. And in this case, all three sides. It takes an HR leader like yourself that's open to then say, listen, let's look at culture. Okay, let's look at all of our cultures and let's pick and then again align it. Okay, great. But then you could do the same thing with tech. Like, okay, we use this ATS. Great.
Yes.
And then everyone else is saying, oh, we use Ashby. No, we use Greenhouse. Okay, all right. Tell us the pros and cons. Like, hey, I'm not tied to any of this.
Yes.
I just want to use the best technology.
Absolutely.
And the same thing is process too. Like, okay, what's your onboarding process? Or client onboarding, employee onboarding. What's your onboarding process? And all of a sudden they tell you stories like, oh no, that's better. That's better than we do it. We need to. I mean, that's another reason why you acquire a company. It's not just clients and revenue and all that stuff. It's this type of thing where, hey, they're going to bring some better technology to bear. Great. That's fantastic.
That is a beautiful cat.
Thank you.
Gorgeous
Yeah,
cat.
this is both part.
The people listening are like, what the hell?
Oh yeah, that's a big cat too. That is not a small cat.
Yeah. No.
He's a Maine Coon cat. He's appointed himself an unofficial member of the HR team. He 100%. Has a lot of opinions.
Yes,
he looks like some of the cats you see on the cat food bags.
Yeah. True. Yes, so, I should have locked him out of here, but he's happy to be here.
Oh, he's fine. He's fine. So for those that are listening, you're not seeing the cat. Go find the video. You'll find it.
You can go to YouTube and find the cat.
You can go find the cat.
So Maggie, with the acquisitions, you had some talent that you brought in. Did you keep the talent? Did you keep some of the folks that were touching HR? Or even some of the folks that were doing HR?
They primarily carried out a finance task.
Right.
They've been sitting with the finance team and really helping them.
Right.
With, merging of different accounts, collecting any outstanding payables, that nature. But definitely, they've been great when I've reached out and asked them questions about, and also it's like the merging of benefits too. So really finding out who's your broker that you use, when do your policies renew?
Right.
And, all those kind of really nuts and bolts types of questions
not easy.
That you need to find out and ask the question, hey, what was your HRIS system? What do people, because people will inevitably forget and say, how do I get my W-2 from 2023? And, want to be able to respond to them, point them in the right direction. So, and then, fortunately, in this situation, we have access to the owners of both companies that we acquired. So really talking to them, learning, what was their strategy? What was their approach to culture? What were some things that really worked well and that their employees really enjoyed? And what could we bring here to the table? Or replicate in some way. So, they used Slack and had different channels in there, and we were like, great, that sounds fun to us. We'll add those channels and, give people that opportunity to talk about, whatever they want on those channels. If we have a pet channel, which of course is very important,
critical,
as you can tell in my house.
Yep.
And just, books, talk about books, things of that nature. So,
Right.
and then it's just bringing people together regularly, making sure that, hopefully your managers are having conversations, one-on-ones. And we recently introduced a tool to really help better manage that process for employees and their managers.
If you don't mind, what was the tool?
It's Lattice. So it has a great one-on-one tool that both the manager and the employee can say, hey, I want to put this on the agenda for our one-on-one. And it just is a great way. It's way better than the little Post-it notes I had scattered on my desk. It's much more effective because without fail,
a little bit.
My meeting and then find another Post-it and think,
yeah. So, Maggie, I want to ask this because I'm always interested in the actual process of everything. So, what has been more difficult for you, right? Is it the technology, introducing new technology into the companies you've brought in, or has it been introducing the people into the process and integrating those together with your current employees?
What if an appliance emergency didn't have to be? If your appliances suddenly decided they were done, don't stress. Best Buy has you covered with a wide variety of major appliances from trusted brands, in stock and available now. So you don't have to worry about laundry piling up, refilling the fridge, or that big dinner party you're hosting. Because Best Buy has the knowledge and expertise to get you the right appliance for your home. Learn more at bestbuy.com. Best Buy. Imagine that.
Subtle results, still you, but with fewer lines. Botox Cosmetic, onabotulinum toxin A, is a prescription medicine used to temporarily make moderate to severe frown lines, crow's feet, and forehead lines look better in adults.
Effects of Botox Cosmetic may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness may be a sign of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Don't receive Botox Cosmetic if you have a skin infection. Side effects may include allergic reactions, injection site pain, headache, eyebrow and eyelid drooping, and eyelid swelling. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Tell your doctor about medical history, muscle or nerve conditions including ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects. For full safety information, visit BotoxCosmetic.com or call 877-351-0300.
See for yourself at BotoxCosmetic.com.
I know they go hand in hand, but which kind of...
Yeah.
What was a tougher case?
Definitely the latter of the two, because, many people, are surprised. They didn't know that their organization was, looking for a potential buyer.
Right.
And they like things the way that they were, like any of us. We're all creatures of habit, and it's hard to, often introduce them into not just a new organization, but like a whole new process, a whole new pace, and a whole new way of doing things. Right. So it can be really challenging to do that. It takes a long time for sure.
Yeah. Let's go backward a little bit and build towards your career. 15-year-old Maggie wanted to be
I think I wanted to be a veterinarian, but then I later realized what that entailed and was like, I would be terrible at that. So I abandoned that dream quickly.
Everyone's good with veterinarian until you get to euthanasia.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I had to tap out of that career before it even began.
So what was your first job, I'd assume, after college or before?
I know, William, we were talking before the show, and much like your family, you kind of see what's going on. I enlisted in the Army right out of high school. Seemed like a brilliant idea at the time. My parents were less convinced of its brilliancy, but I was able to sell them on that because I really didn't know what I wanted. I really didn't know
Perfect
at
place
all.
to go figure it out.
What that was out there in terms of being able to, career paths. And frankly, I was like, I don't really know how I'm going to pay for this. I have no idea. Grew up in the Midwest, Illinois, modest family, and really, couldn't afford to figure it out and pay tuition at the same time. So I enlisted in the Army. Had my 18th birthday when I was in basic training. Do not recommend. It would have been great otherwise because it was on a Friday, but it wasn't that great. And really, once I got out of the military, completed my enlistment, I just kind of randomly moved to the Boston area. I'd grown up in Illinois, and I figured, you know what, there's definitely plenty of options for school there. And I wound up attending Northeastern University, downtown Boston, nights, weekends. So it was very glamorous while I worked by day. And one of those jobs that I ended up at, I was the office manager, predictably, as you mentioned before, William.
Right.
And I didn't even know when I was hired that HR was a part of that job. They
just kind of slid that in.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, you've got
the office manager, payroll. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Personnel.
Yeah. So I ended up joining them, and one day, it was the good old days when we had fax machines. Somebody faxed over their dental enrollment form, and I had asked the CEO, who gets this enrollment form? And she said, oh, you do.
You.
And I thought, oh, no. I knew
Not it.
Yeah, exactly. I knew nothing about benefits management, administration, nothing.
Why would you?
HR. So luckily I was attending Northeastern at that time, nights and weekends. So I very quickly started, my minor quickly became human resources.
Smart.
I was at the time majoring in health management, which is essentially like a business management. And I worked in healthcare in human resources for many years, spent some time in tech, and then joined Traliant. So that was how it began. And I stayed with them and learned as much as I could, did a lot of networking. There's a woman out there named Carrie from Guardian Dental somewhere in the universe who really taught me a lot about benefits, which was very generous of her, and answered all my ridiculous questions. And I had many. And definitely made friends with some health insurance brokers along the way that were also really helpful.
Yeah.
And, classes. So I stayed at that job and then was like, okay, this is great, but I should probably leave and join a team so that I can, continue to learn, bounce ideas off that group of people. And so that's what I did at that time.
So now if you weren't introduced to HR through the fax machine and being tagged as you're it, would you have chosen this career? Or would this not have been a thought?
You know what? I would like to say yes, but I think at the time I was still, even though I was going to Northeastern and, had a major, I was still kind of trying to figure it out. I had an interest in law. I had an interest in business. I had an interest in social work. And I kind of feel like HR brings all those strange things together.
Yes.
Not that HR people are lawyers, but you certainly have to be aware of applicable laws. And
you'll need one if you don't do it the right way.
Yeah.
So.
So I felt like it kind of wound up being a great, fit to bring all those things together.
Yeah.
So were you active in SHRM, or when you're in healthcare, ASHRA, or any of those types of associations?
Yes, I joined SHRM early on. That's a great resource. I feel like they have any template online that you could possibly imagine. So never need to reinvent the wheel there.
Right.
And then I was involved in, because I worked in assisted living, at the time it was called ALPHA, the Assisted Living Federation of America. It's now Argentum. That's another great resource as well.
That's fantastic. So have you developed a mentor in HR, or do you mentor others at this particular juncture?
All of the above. It's a great question. So I'm very involved in my local SHRM chapter, Richmond SHRM, and I'm on the board of Richmond SHRM. And I'm actually responsible for the mentor program through Richmond SHRM. So it's really pairing up earlier career HR professionals with more seasoned. But I think mentors are incredibly helpful no matter what stage of your career. I still have, my own Rolodex of people. I'm trying to connect with someone that I worked for years ago. She's a chief human resources officer for a company in Boston, just to like pick her brain on, various things that keep me up and, want to hear her experience with those. So I think that, you can't go wrong with that. We just rolled out a mentor program here at Traliant as well.
Let's talk about the mentor program if we can.
Sure.
We've had a number of conversations around this, and we seem to get. I think there's a common theme among how people are building, but they're nuanced in different ways, and I think each is slightly different. So curious to understand how you're building this mentorship program.
Sure.
How are you building it? What are the prongs that you're putting into this?
So it's really, we had people all complete an application and indicate their interest in either being a mentor or being mentored. Some people were like, I do either one, and just really kind of looked at, what were they hoping to get out of it? Why were they applying? What was driving that? And then really looking at, okay, who are the individuals that, what are the answers on both sides? And that's how we made the matches. I know that in some case, I think my team member was like, really, those two? And, but it made sense because the one individual really wanted to learn about an aspect of the business that touched her department. And so we just kind of had the kickoff and are, kind of letting people loose and letting them set up their first meeting, but really sharing resources with them. There's a great book out there, and I'm going to look up what it's called because it's escaping me now, but it's really about mentorship and really developing goals as both the mentor and mentee. But I just feel like mentors get so much out of that experience as well. Maybe even sometimes more.
Yeah. So on assisted living and healthcare, so we'll do separately if you don't mind.
Sure.
What are some of the unique things that happen in HR in those two areas?
Well, I know that, everybody in HR would point to COVID for sure, but absolutely, I remember at the time, COVID was happening and I had just moved to the middle of nowhere, Virginia at that time. And I remember unpacking, books that I'd saved from my master's degree program and thinking, well, these are useless because nobody covered a pandemic as something to worry about.
Thrift store, donations.
Fair statement. Fair.
Yeah. So I just, at that time, I mean, that was a real challenge. I feel like healthcare and doing HR in healthcare is an added challenge because, often you're working with people who unfortunately are underpaid. It's a very hard job. They could go, get paid the same amount of money to work at Target and, probably go home with clean clothes at the end of the day. Right. So it was always a challenge. And then it was heightened by COVID where, people lost daycare for their children and they were like, I don't know how I'm going to come to work. Or people were, working for us who had compromised immune systems and really, understandably were like, I don't really think I can continue to put myself in this situation. So that was really, it just compounded the challenges that many healthcare providers, organizations face day in, day out.
So this is not a loaded question.
Sure.
It's a question that I know practitioners are going to have that are either going to go through acquisitions or, that have been through them, is you've got 3 different compensation strategies that have been played out over years or months or whatever the bid is. And to sync those up into one place, you might have let's say BDR, just make it super simple. Someone in sales at company 1, they might have a different comp structure. In company 2, something completely different. Company 3, completely different than those 2. And at one point, it's getting those things synced up. And again, it can't happen overnight. It doesn't happen overnight. But your thoughts on how do you get to, because you got compression issues, you got pay equity issues, you got, and that's when I say you, every acquisition in the history of acquisitions has this.
Absolutely.
So not
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
What's your philosophy on kind of getting those things synced up?
Well, definitely make friends with finance quickly. If you're not already there,
Yes.
now's
Yeah.
the time. And you definitely need to, and work with definitely the sales leader on, and definitely, you're absolutely right. We didn't like rip that rug out from under people.
Right.
You just can't really had to say, and even like the benefits cost, for example, you got to look at that. What are
Good
people,
Right.
paying towards their benefits? We acquired a group and they weren't paying towards their benefits. So we're not
Right.
going to be like, welcome to Traliant. Here's how much it's going to cost. Right after that,
50%. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you even manage that? Like, if I'm paying nothing, William's paying 50%. I mean, I don't want to pay 50%.
Gotta get them to sync.
You
Over
got
time,
to
you have
kind
to
of look at, when does your plan renew? We were and get really creative and friendly with your broker. A lot of the employees we inquired lived in California, so they had this
different
Kaiser
HR
plan.
laws.
So we don't have a Kaiser plan. So really, we made the decision, hey, we're going to keep you with your plan. Which I hope there's probably not brokers listening to this, because I'm not sure that was 100% on the up and up, but it was the right thing to do for the employee to maintain their network of providers and
100%.
really,
knowing that a change would come at a certain point.
Exactly. We said, hey, you know what? We're not changing it today, and I can't tell you what it'll look like by the time our open enrollment rolls around, which will be rolling around in July.
Yep.
Working on that renewal now. So really kind of looking at it, what makes sense. Is there a way to ease people into it? And then like, William, you mentioned you really want to get everybody in your HRIS system, really, take a look at the salaries for people. And if you know that, somebody's off and maybe you don't need to correct it, you need a budget for that because you might not have that budget set aside. But really, how do we make that correction? That because maybe they came in higher than somebody else on your team with the 100%. Same seniority. So how do you you got to plan for all of that? Or, and it's so different by organization because it really depends on the organization's pay philosophy too.
100%. Total rewards, total benefits, having all of that stuff. And I love that you mentioned benefits as I talked about pay, because it's all tied together. It's all, from the CFO's perspective, it's all an expense. It's a good expense, but it's still an expense. But what comp professionals have told me in the past, when they have to go through this kind of bringing everything together, is you manage expectations really wisely, and communication is like, this isn't happening overnight. Don't expect it to happen overnight. And then when it does, once there's a budget and a plan, then it's incremental. So if you're trying to adjust salaries, let's say 45 is the average, and you're trying to bring someone from 35, you don't just give them $10,000.
Right. Yeah.
It's like $1,000 a month that just gets added. That obviously you talk to the employee about it and all that type of stuff.
And that's really, when I joined Traliant, things were kind of all over the map because they didn't have HR. And I remember there was one department in particular, and I called the leader and said, what happened? What happened in your department?
Why are you 75% above the rest of the company?
Right, what is it was people in the same department. You'd have somebody way up here, someone down here, and it kind of depended on the whim of the leadership team at the time, or the company was growing, so maybe they're like, okay, get this person in, but at this rate. So we had to do a lot of correction gradually, as you mentioned, William. It took well over a year to really
the company has to be able to sustain as well.
Yes,
right? And that's
absolutely,
That's a tough balancing act. You can't just pay 100 people $10,000 more.
Right, exactly.
It's a lot of money. Yeah.
So really, we didn't hire. I know a lot of people hire outside, but there's a lot of great tools out there now that can make this a lot easier. We started with salary.com. They have a paid subscription service, and then we're using Open Comp now. But there's a lot of great ones out there that can really help you design ranges and
Right.
really help you identify, okay, where do I need to get this person incrementally, as you stated. Absolutely.
Are you with benefits? Are you each year you add and prune like one of those types of deals where you look at benefits, they're not using this EAP, or they're not using this particular service, whatever it is. Okay, prune that. Now they care more about well-being or whatever the new thing is. Add that. Like what's your philosophy around benefits?
Yeah, you definitely. So when I first came to Traliant, it was kind of like the bare bones benefits, right? Like the typical medical, dental, vision. That was it. There were no voluntary, employee paid options.
Right.
And we rolled out a survey right away to figure out like what is important to this group of people, what matters to them, what would they like to see, because you don't want to add a whole bunch of stuff at once because that's just overwhelming to people.
Yeah.
But what would matter the most? And then definitely, look at the utilization, find out what's important to people, read and, try to act on the feedback that people give you. And I would say no is taking action. If the answer is no, tell people that. Like, hey, we can't do that. Here's why. I think that as long as you're closing that feedback loop, people at least feel, hey, they heard me, they looked into it, they gave me an answer. Wasn't the answer I wanted, but they explained why, or could we get there incrementally as well? So yeah, and I think it's always good to look at the benefit options and offerings. Get a broker, put the plan to bid, see what's out there, what makes sense.
So people that are listening to this particular show are probably going to be in your situation, right?
Yeah.
So doing the integrations, etc. On the healthcare so William mentioned some of the prongs, right? The add-ons there. So the well-being or the total rewards, or like the example you gave around paid time off for volunteering, things like that.
Yeah.
How do you solicit the feedback from your employee
Now you're a much
population?
larger employer population.
You're much larger, right? So you solicit that information, you have a whole bunch of ideas from people. How do you make that determination? How do you prioritize that to bring that in? I'm assuming it's not, 20 people said this and 5, or is it as basic as that?
No, I wish it was that easy.
But 10 people said they wanted this is not important.
Right.
All those things have a cost to them. So
exactly. Yeah.
So it's really, it's also making sure you're competitive too. When I got to Traliant, I was like, I remember when I got the benefits package for this job, and my immediate thought was,
I gotta change this shit.
I was like,
you're like, I'm gonna sign this on the stipulation.
This won't be here in a year from now.
Right. I remember thinking, like, I don't know if I should take this job. I have a great benefits package. Then I was like, wait a minute, I'll be the one that's able to change this for
100%.
myself and others.
Right.
So really, I just felt like, oh my gosh, I was amazed that, people even joined the company when I first joined.
Right.
I was like, I don't know how. I think, the fact that we are fully, remote probably worked in our favor. But I felt like there were some things missing that were just table stakes for benefits that, we should implement. We did implement. And then I think it's really, this year, partnering with our broker closely and asking them, okay, how do we measure up against the benchmark of companies of similar size? So initially I was asking the employees. This year the approach is, okay, how do we compare? And, where are some areas of opportunity that we should look at? And, again, also partnering with your 401k to do the same. What's the match? How do we compare against other companies, again, of our size?
Well, and you said the magic word with utilization. If people aren't using something, that's an easy cut. Because, again, that's an expense. It's an easy cut. Last question for me is advice you'd give your younger self. Like you're now into this career, and you got all kinds of things in front of you. But what would you go back and tell yourself? about HR?
I would say make more mistakes.
Break some eggs.
Probably not the answer.
No, it's
You
a
might have
great answer.
expected, but I feel like where I've learned the most throughout my career was like these doozies that happened that I was like, well, that wasn't good, but I'm not going to do that again, right? So I'd say, don't be afraid to make mistakes because it does mean you're trying something new. Just like you mentioned, William, if you introduce a benefit or a platform, like I remember joining Traliant and we rolled out this platform for people for like fitness challenges and things like that. And there was on-demand video. No one used it. Like they told me they were going to use it and they were interested. But then and then I was like, I'm just going to like get rid of this and see if anybody notices. No one ever asked.
Yeah.
Later, but
that's the downside of a survey going out on December 31st. Are you going to use your fitness program?
Oh, 100%.
Yes,
100%.
true. So I would be like, you're not married to the mistake. Like everything is fixable. So just fix it. Like, no big deal. Like you could recover from that. You don't know unless, you try it and then I learned from that experience, people didn't want to log into another platform. So now when I look at things, I'm asking, okay, does this integrate with Teams? How? Because that's where people are and that's where they're spending their time. So we have a recognition program. It integrates with Teams. It's an app called Matter. And we have, Kudos Fridays, makes it super easy to participate. So just really, I would definitely say, don't be afraid to make mistakes because that's how you're going to learn and you're going to learn.
Advice.
You're going to learn a lot quicker.
Yeah. You're making me want to call my former HR reps and thank them because as you're talking, I'm listening and I'm thinking, there's a lot of stupid things they put out there, in my opinion, I should say.
Yeah.
They were like, why? Like, what is that? But then there were some really good, but I had options and it was constantly moving. And the one thing, as I'm reflecting on it, the one thing I could always say about them, they were always doing something.
Yeah.
And I felt like I can trust them significantly more than my leadership.
Right.
Because they were always doing something for me and asking me. And I never really thought of it that way. So,
well, I think sometimes people forget that, every now and then I want to say to an employee, hey, I work here too, right? Like, I benefit from the benefits. I benefit from getting the salary structure right. So, we're, probably definitely looking out for employees and ourselves because we're strapped in for the ride as well.
100%.
This has been fantastic, Ryan.
It has. I enjoyed it. I reflected a little bit at the end. I feel like I need to go make amends with some of these people that I once said, what the hell are you doing in life?
Said some mean things to them.
So thank you for that, Maggie.
Okay. You're welcome.
Maggie, you're our therapist today.
Yes. No, but really, this has been a great conversation. I agree. We'll have to have you back on after July, after your open enrollment to see how that goes with the 3 different companies. You might be telling us a different story.
100%. Thank you, Maggie. Appreciate you for coming on, talking to the audience. We just appreciate you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.